Hi everyone, today I am going to teach you history. Before starting the lesson, let us have an interaction with the picture. What do we observe in this picture? We observe that it is a famous monument built by Shah Jahan during the medieval period. So this picture shows us that we are going to learn the lesson about the medieval period. So, our first history lesson is where, when, and how the medieval period in India. First concept we are going to learn in this lesson is history. What is history? History is the study of the human past. To make the study of history easier, it is divided into three periods, that is ancient, medieval, and modern. Last year you learnt of the ancient period of human history. This year you will explore the history of medieval India. Now, let us learn about the medieval India. The word medieval comes from the Latin words medius and aevum, which mean middle age. Therefore, when a period is called medieval, it means that period which is in the middle of human history. The medieval period of Indian history. The medieval period in India is further divided into two periods. That is the early medieval period that starts from 647 CE till 1200 CE. Next one is the later medieval period. It starts from 1200 CE and ends by 1700 CE. The medieval period in India is further divided into the early period and the later medieval period. As the early medieval period, it is taken to extend from 647 to 1200 CE as after the death of the famous ruler Harsha. The modern period of Indian history stretches from 1700 CE to date. The medieval period in India saw far-reaching changes in all fields. During the medieval period, we find many changes in the fields like political, social, cultural, and economic. In North India, several independent kingdoms had come up after the breakup of Harsha's empire. So the medieval period began after the death of Harsha's empire. So after the death of Harsha, the king Harsha. The medieval period of Indian history is identified today with a series of Turkish, Afghan, Persian, and Mongol dynasties that ruled in India from the 11th to the 18th century CE. In the beginning of the medieval period, South India remained largely unaffected by the events in the north. Prosperous kingdoms like the Cholas, the Rashtrakutas flourished in the south. So, the famous kingdoms during the medieval period were Turkish, Afghan, Persian, and Mongol. And we can include in the southern part, that is, the kingdoms like the Cholas and the Rashtrakutas. Next, now let us see about the impact of geography on history. Even the impact of geography plays a major role on our history. India is a vast land with a 5,422-kilometer long coastline, excluding the islands. The Himalayan mountain ranges, which stretch from for over 2,575 kilometers along the north of India. That's the reason India is known as subcontinent. This has resulted in India being physically and culturally distinct from the rest of Asia. As you can observe in the picture, there are so many kingdoms who were very much powerful during the medieval period. Due to the distinct nature of India's physiographic features, India's history developed differently in its different regions. The northern plains, comprising the basins of the rivers Indus and Ganga, was the seat of many great empires. This was also the region that was under constant threat from invaders. Several waves of invasions during the medieval period made the history of this region eventful. On the contrary, the southern peninsula faced fewer threats of invasion. The Vindhya and Satpura ranges, mountain ranges, acted as a barrier, discouraging the southern movement of the Turks and Mughals. Hence, the Deccan and the South evolved a unique culture and a history of their own, as you can observe in the picture. The kingdoms in the south, which had long coastlines like the Cholas and the Pandyas, developed strong navies. These kingdoms were therefore able to establish empires that extended across the Indian Ocean, including the islands of Sri Lanka and the Indonesia, as you can observe in the following picture. Now, let us learn about the terms used to describe the subcontinent, that is India. Through the thousands of years of its history, the Indian subcontinent has been known by various names. During the Vedic age, India was called Sapta Sindhu, or the land of the seven rivers. These rivers were the Indus, Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Beas, Satluj, and the mythical Saraswati. Sindhu was the Sanskrit name for the Indus. The earliest reference to this name is in the Zend Avesta, the holy book of the ancient Persians. But there it is referred to as Hapt Hindu. In Sanskrit, the Persian H gets replaced by S. Thus, Sindhu or Hindu was the name for India from very ancient times. Next, the word Hindu was derived from the Sanskrit word Indu. Indu was another word for Soma. What is the meaning of Soma? The meaning of Soma is the drink of the Vedic people. And we blessed by this drink. They were blessed by this Soma. And the land where they lived was called Hindustan. After coming of the Aryans and the spread of the Vedic culture, northern India came to be known as Aryavarta, or the land of the Aryans. India was also known as Bharatavarsha, or the land of Bharat, as the famous ruler called Bharat, the son of King Dushyanta, is a mythical king who is believed to have conquered and ruled over the whole of the Indian continent. So that's the reason they got the name Bharatavarsha also. In all Arabic and Persian literature of the medieval period, the Indian subcontinent is referred to as Hind. The Greeks, however, call this land Indica. It is most probably from Indica that the subcontinent got its modern name India. Now, let us learn about the sources of information for medieval period. What are the sources? From where do we get the information about our medieval period? Historians rely on different sources while reconstructing history. By rechecking a fact from different sources, historians make sure that it is as accurate as possible. Last year, you saw how historians depend upon archaeology to learn about the ancient past. They excavate, in the sense, they dig up ancient settlements and study the remains, the buildings, graves, potsherds, seals, etc. For the period after writing was discovered, historians could reconstruct the past from inscriptions, coins, religious, and secular writings. Similarly, the medieval period of Indian history also has several sources of information that historians use. The different sources are epigraphic evidence, that is inscriptions, numismatic evidence, it means coins, archaeological evidence, buildings, sculptures, etc. Artistic evidence means paintings, literary evidence, it means historical writings. Now, first one is inscription. Let us learn about the inscription. What is inscriptions? Inscriptions are words written or engraved on rocks, pillars, and the walls of temples, palaces, forts, etc. The study of inscription is known as epigraphy. Inscriptions are an important source of information about India's past. Inscriptions were initially made on the faces of cliffs, that is, mountains, on stone pillars, inside caves, and on rocks. In the course of time, they came to be engraved into metal, such as coins and copper plates also. Several copper plate inscriptions belonging to the medieval period have been found around temples in South India. Inscriptions may be short, such as a two-line dedication of a temple or a statue, or lengthy, such as long poems praising the achievements of kings. These long poems in praise of kings are called prashasti. Since prashastis were normally written by court poets appointed by the kings, they may not always be factually accurate. Copper plates inscriptions often record land grants by the rich to temples. They also record the achievements of the kings. Inscriptions belonging to the Chalukya period have been found at Ahol and Patadakal in Karnataka. Before the widespread use of paper, inscriptions were a useful way of getting a message across to a large audience. This is what about the inscription. Next, now let us learn about the coins. Coins are pieces of metal that are used as money. They were usually used by the ruler of a kingdom. The study of coins is called numismatics. The information gathered from coins tells us about the kingdoms, confirms dates during which particular kings ruled, their special interests and achievements. Coins help a historian clarify any doubt they have about dates and events that are given in books and other sources of information. So, through these coins, we can get the accurate information of the particular year. This is what about the coins. Now, let us learn about the monuments and buildings. Monuments and buildings often provide information about the period during which they were built. Temples, palaces, and mosques can tell us not only of the religious practices but also about the political, economic, and social condition of the time. For example, mosques like the Jama Masjid in Delhi, forts like those at Delhi, Gwalior, Agra, and Mandu, and palaces like those at Jaipur, Jodhpur, Deeg, and Hyderabad are studied by historians to understand the style of architecture followed at the time. This is what we get the information about different kings, different forts. Now, let us learn about the paintings. Paintings are an important source of information, especially for the medieval period of Indian history. They illustrate the artistic progress of the time, since rulers of kingdoms and other important people often had their portraits done. The paintings serve as a record of the lines of descent of kings and nobles. They also tell us about the nature of society, the way of dressing, the customs followed, important events, the life of the common people, along with other features of that period, as you can observe in the picture. Now, next one is literary evidence. What is literary evidence? Literary evidence consists of historical writings, biographies, plays, novels, and epics. Medieval Indian history has a rich collection of literary source material to draw information from. Literary sources are of two types, that is, indigenous sources, and another one is foreign sources. Indigenous sources, it means those created within the country. And what is foreign sources? Those written by foreign travelers to the country. Now let us see the first source, that is indigenous source. What is indigenous sources? Medieval manuscripts in India were mainly written on palm leaves, cloth, bamboo leaf, and paper. The manuscripts deal with a wide variety of subjects such as religion, philosophy, system of science, arts, and literature. They are composed in different Indian languages and scripts. Unfortunately, many of these important chronicles and documents have been destroyed by rain, fungus, and insects like termites. Poets and chroniclers were appointed by the kings. Their job was to record all the happenings of the state. Some of these have been preserved and published by Colonel Todd in his famous book Annals and Antiquities of Rajasthan. Important biographies that describe the lives and achievements of kings include the Rajatarangini by Kalhana. Next one is Prithviraj Raso by Chand Bardai about the life of Prithviraj Chauhan. This is what about the indigenous sources. It means those created within the country. Now, next one is foreign sources. Foreign literary sources. It means those written by foreign travelers to the country. The foreigners who visited the country, they wrote about the India. Medieval India saw several foreigners entering the land as travelers, as students and pilgrims. Al-Biruni, the Persian traveler, came to India with Muhammad of Ghazni in the 11th century CE. He mastered Sanskrit and wrote a scientific treatise called Tehqiq-i-Hind, that means an inquiry into India. This book contains a wealth of information on the culture and economy of medieval India. Next one is Ibn Battuta, the, four, the 14th century CE Morocco-born traveler. He came from Morocco, wrote about the reign of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Marco Polo, the Italian ambassador in the court of the Chinese Emperor Kublai Khan, passed through South India in 1292 CE. He wrote an interesting account of the social customs and culture of South India. Next one is the Babar-Nama, the autobiography of the Mughal Emperor Babur, which was written in 16th century CE, and the Akbar-Nama, the biography of Emperor Akbar, which was written in 17th century CE, contain vivid and detailed description of life during the Mughal rule. After a careful study of these various sources of information, many of which are not always continuous or authentic, historians have tried to recreate the history of medieval India. So, this is what about the medieval period of India. Thank you.